Yeah, it's always public. I realize.
Welcome, Real Estate Rewired Live. We're on episode 8. And we're going into the mixed use mastery and what it takes to master these mixed use developments, some strategies that come through with that, and key takeaways. You're going to learn mixed use development here in a very simple, concise format. We're going to run through the slides. I'm going to teach you guys for about 30 minutes, and then we're going to open up the floor for questions, answers. Feel free, text in on the live chat. Adam's on there. We'll ask the questions live if you're watching here or in person as well. Please feel free to ask them. I'm here to help you guys out. I'm here to answer questions. So weekly, bring them here. You got things that you're working on, bring them here. I'm going to answer them in real time live. So with that said, let's jump in. Real Estate Rewired Live, episode 8, focused on mixed use mastery. Okay, so first things first, we want to go into some cheat codes. Just like we discussed with NOI, cap rates, underwriting, all the things in the past, we want to understand where are our cheat codes for this. And what this understanding cheat codes is that when we start selling developments and you start going into the development world, mixed use is quite common, especially in our area of northern New Jersey. So what does that look like? It could be the dry cleaner down below, and then you have apartments above. It could be you have offices, and then all of a sudden above it is apartments. You could have anything of the sort. It could be an industrial building with 6 units together next to it on the left. That's a live work. There's so many different intricacies and details. But the cheat codes are knowing this. In a development, typically those commercial units are not as warranted as the residential. What does that mean, Bruce? It means that they're less valuable. Okay. What does that mean for development? Well, if you're developing more commercially, it could be something of value change. If you're developing residentially and it's a small portion of it, it shouldn't affect it too much, but it is something that you want to take into consideration. So we'll jump into the multiple income streams that has, where that comes into play, the exit strategies, and what to look out for. Moving ahead, mixed use, one of the most profitable assets. Why, guys, is it most profitable? Because there's tons of demand for it. When we start looking at the municipalities at play, they oftentimes want to see some mixed use component. I.e., just talking with Dorit earlier about 192 West Englewood in Englewood. And what does that property have? Well, it has some zoning designations that within the NE zoning, you have to have commercial use, or you have to go for a variance where you wouldn't have it. Now, what does that do? It protects the community to make sure that there's walkability within the streets, and it starts building the actual community. You're going to need a pizzeria, you're going to need a CVS, right? General stores, things like that, restaurants. That is where it's created. Okay. The walkability trends come because as you grow these neighborhoods, more people are there. So then you need ancillary services, you need technology, you need pizza, you need dry cleanings, you need all of the services, inclusive of small office spaces, right? Professional office spaces, legal, accounting, surveying, management, property engineering, all that good stuff. Now, once you start understanding where these income streams are coming into play, you start understanding that it's a walkable community, you start seeing the neighborhood being able to shape, or you're the pioneer of that neighborhood and you're the first one in, you see a vision long term. That's where you're going to see the differences of where these income streams can come into play. Now, write this down. Bruce, what are income streams that would come into play on mixed use? Well, if it's a larger development, your amenities. We're seeing an influx. 100+ unit developments are getting amenity fees. What does that mean? It means you pay a certain amount as a tenant with rent. Then you pay more money for ancillary services. It could be amenities, so write that down. It could be parking, write that down. It could be laundry, write that down. It could be pet fees. We charge typically from most of the landlords in servicing is $50 a month for a pet, one pet. We've realized over the last decade that about 50% of the building has pets. So that's income that's attributed to the building that if you're not putting on there, maybe something that's lost. You're not gaining as much income as you should. So small differences like that on the multi-income streams are going to be huge, right? Retail components also, they help stabilize areas. Why? Because when you have a component where there's commercial and residential, it's typically within more of the downtown, more of the corridor areas, things like that. So it starts establishing some retail pricing, and that gives you an idea of where the market's going, where it was, and where is it right now. Now, Lastly, performance in down markets. Well, we always know that an attractive asset from mixed use is very attractive because you're going to need to store apartments and mixed use product there. If it's an office and industrial, well, we know industrial space is going to need some office, so they're complementary. So what we do is we have a metric that it actually de-risks a lot of the areas with it when you put in just one small component like that. So diving into it, most profitable asset, mixed use in terms of where we're at. That's what research has shown, and that's what we're talking about today. Moving ahead, let's talk about what the types of mixed use assets are. You're gonna have vertical, horizontal, live works, retails, and then you're gonna have office hybrids. Now, what does that look like in terms of layman terms? Well, if we're going with a vertical mixed use, we talked about it. You're gonna have a ground floor, you're gonna have some type of flooring that's commercial space. Could be retail, could be an office, could be a store, any of those above, or many different uses, and then having that component where you have live and work in a vertical mixed integration. Now, not live work component, live and work. Those are two separate. We'll unpack the live work together. Horizontal mixed use. When you have multiple buildings across a site, think about when you have a guest house. Think about when you have different things. Those different sub buildings on one property could be where you have a mixed use. Bruce, what does that look like? Well, have you guys ever gone to a Chick-fil-A? If you've gone to any fast food, you see a pad site. Maybe it's around a mall. Maybe it's around an existing freestanding building, and it's something that's carved out. The company went in, got approvals for it, put a pad site in, maybe the drive-through, and then either sold it or kept it on their books. Those are the horizontal mixed use when we start doing mixed use product. Live work. I was just talking about this morning. The old Grand Street. Live work is when you're actively living and working within the same context. Maybe you live upstairs, you work downstairs, maybe you live in the same area that you're working. Depends on zoning, right? That's what we're going to live into. That's where you're going to go with. Is it workable in no live zone? Maybe that's your product, maybe it's not. Retail and residential mixed blends, those are exceptionally popular. You go down south, you're going to see a lot of them. They're going to put tons of retail strip centers, apartments above it, macro type community. They're going to build everything in. They'll have amenities driven towards it, some common areas, parks, things like that. A wonderful hybrid. Office and residential hybrids, those are a little bit less phasing out these days, especially with office conversions into luxury condos, into townhouse sites, et cetera. So if you're an owner of an office building and you want to get an idea of what that dirt to dollars is, reach out to me, reach out to my team members. We'll give you that because we're transforming a lot of office product into these new developments. So get your fair share of that unreasonable profit you should get with selling your site and just being smarter about it. So those are huge. Those zoning overlays, as I mentioned there, are going to be why this is huge, because if you have a zoning overlay that allows a higher density and you're not aware of that, and we are, and we tell you that, dirt to dollars, boom, boom, boom. And that's something that we expertise in, you can reach out to us for. So what are our types mixed use? What are types? Vertical mixed use, horizontal, multiple buildings. We're going to have live work, same component, retail and residential, and then office, industrial components with residential, or maybe mixed use product. And that could be office and then retail. Moving ahead, how to underwrite mixed use. We're going to break this down into 5 sections. Okay, first section is breaking the asset into parts. Second's running that pro forma. The third's factoring in our leasing time frame. And then fourth is understanding our parking requirements and then evaluating this exit. Let's dive into that. I love the tone, Adam. We're setting with the mood here with the lights.
I mean, I don't know. I was just checking it out.
Just
If you,
going.
If you guys want it like darker, I mean, I just wanted to see what the lighting looks like because on the live stream there's a little light on the TV.
Guys, we're live here. We're live from City Views.
You think so? It makes it cool.
All right, we're going turning and dimming down low. Okay, going super intimate. It's been an intimate time in my life, making sure my mom is okay. So this intimacy is wonderful. All right, so with that said, let's break this down. We got the 5. Let's underwrite mixed use and do it in a very concise, impactful way. Let's break.
Can you just move a little more left, and then I want to jump through like 45.
Yep.
Or you're right.
Okay. My right. Okay.
Yes. A little bit more. Perfect. All right, now you're good.
All right. So guys, we're going to break the asset into parts. So what does that mean? First things first, let's just understand real basic, because you can do this at a 1, 2, 3, 4 unit level or hundreds of units. Let's just see which one is it going to be. So commercial and residential. let's just take a very, very simple example of what we have, okay? We're actively marketing it right now. So we have 1 commercial and 6 apartments, 7 units, right? Now, the residential income and the commercial income are going to have 2 different lines. So we call that an income breakdown. So an income breakdown would be is, okay, how much income are we getting from commercial? How much income are we getting from residential, right? Pretty straightforward. So let's just say in this, the commercial, it's 2,000 a month, 24,000 a year, right? That's all the income. Let's say the resi, right here, the 6 units are producing $12,000. And what's that, 144,000? Is that my math? I passed 5th grade math. Going through this math with Blake and doing different things with long division, it's the same as multiplying. Same thing. You got to just go through it. So the same thing. So what we have here is now we have 2 incomes. These 2 incomes right here, 168K, right? But what you're going to find is that these are snapshots. You don't need to have all the rest of the income until you start evaluating this asset. Just get a simple snapshot. So break it into parts, see what it is. If we have this, and we know that maybe there's expenses paid back on that, maybe a little less, and we know that utilities and how the tenant pays what, the landlord pays what here, you can basically get a pretty general sense as to what this asset's worth. Now we're going through it. A lot of people put out the January reset offers for ERG. We're getting out all our proposals now with similar context. It's literally what's our property worth based on some simple metrics. Awesome way to do it. January is a great time to audit it. So is the fall before. So that when you're talking, you understand your values. You can be smarter in this marketplace. Buy an opportunity, heat lock, know your value. So simple metrics right here. Then we're going to run separate pro formas. So we know that on a commercial basis here, that a vacancy for commercial is higher than residential. And a vacancy for residential in our area is roughly what? 3%. The banks will go as high as 5%, maybe even more for residential, but not typically lower than that. Vacancy on commercial could be 5 to 10%. So on this, depends on the asset. If it's an industrial, it might be 7 to 10, or office 7 to 10, maybe retail a little bit lighter. But let's just take a standard 7%. So that means 7% of the income on the commercial, non-existent. 3%, 5% on the residential, non-existent. Now you still could make the money, but a bank is going to take that vacancy cost. So just knowing right out the gate certain things to run separate pro formas. So now you understand, okay, so if I had the 24,000 and I had the 144,000, this minus 7%, this minus 3%. So anyone want to do the numbers? Yeah, so this one goes to 22,320, and this one goes to 139,608. Exactly. Good job. Thank you, Nate. Together, 162. Now, that's just simply right there. We factor lease timing in next on top, which really is simple because we think that the commercial is going to take a little longer. Now, most areas it does, straight and simple. But you know, working with our ERG team, these things move, guys. It's a matter of whether or not we're properly priced and positioned. So in our area, I always say you're probably pretty accurate if you build 30, 60, 90, let's say 90 days in for an actual commercial lease to get an LOI respective in our area. I'd say 3 to 6 months is time frame. So when you start factoring in that, you're not going to get the income immediately, and maybe you have to do some improvements for the tenant. So imagine you're putting some money into it, you're getting a lease, 5 or 10 year lease, maybe 5 year with options. and you're getting it as you're investing into it, you're getting the return over the life of the lease. That means 5 years, you have the value, and that's what you're really seeking to get through some of these earlier hiccups. Okay, so 162. So when we understand where that's at, do we have any extra income? Is there any extra parking? Let's say for our intensive purposes, there is none. So if we're taking the 162,000 right here, and you just did a simple 25% expense ratio, just basic round numbers, just basic numbers, you start getting an NOI, which is what we seek for value. You get 121,500 as the baseline of what you can get a value on. So let's divide that by the cap rate. Let's go 0.06, and roughly the building's worth about 2,025,000. Everybody see how you can do that? That's now where your exit strategy is. You understand what it is, you understand where it's going, you understand where it's going to be, and at that point you can trade it. So with that said, moving ahead and staying on track, we just evaluated. Now we got a real estate rewired 7-unit, pretty simple. Financial metrics are in play, and we've evaluated it knowing that you're probably going to be around this figure, give or take. So if we're looking at a purchase, what's our rule of thumb? Rule of 3. We know that this building is going to be worth $2,025,000. Divide that by 3, and that's most likely the max that you'd want to pay for that property. $675. There you go. Now, we're going through this daily. If you just understand certain things here, you can then show path in the math and succeed in what your quest is, because it's just simple line items, okay? Getting used to it.
You're consistent with that 25% expenses for both commercial and residential?
Yeah, it's just a baseline, because
Okay.
if you can understand, like if you really wanted to go through it, like if I'm giving a seller a value, to give them a 3-tier pricing strategy. So let's just say if we did it at 20% and at 30%, let's say it brings it to 1,925, and then let's say it brings it up to 2.21. You follow? That would be the value range. So most likely it's going to be between these. This is what we have penciled in. This seems to be an attractive purchase price based on where we're at for the highest that you'd pay. So if we're asking 625, you know, it's a pretty good deal. Probably pretty good deal. You know, if it's asking 850, probably not such a great deal. You follow? Speed, trust, and velocity is where this comes in, because if you get stuck evaluating something that I can do or you can do in a training here in 10 minutes, who's more valuable? Right? You're more valuable to somebody if you can do this quicker and efficient. But if you just do it and you don't know any numbers, then you're going to start messing up. People won't take you serious. So understand, this is the path and the math. This is exactly where we want to go. Questions? Moving onward, zoning and entitlement advantages. Guys, one of the best things that we've seen is that the towns are more apt, if you're looking at it from a development perspective, to want to give development if they're seeing the community. They want to see offices, they want to see retail, they want to see life. You want to go to your Jamba Juice, right? You want to go to your chiropractor. You want to go to the bank. All of this requires different spaces. Now, certain product types fit different people that are seeking tenancies. A Class A building is going to have certain clientele versus a Class C. Now, we have them all throughout, but the neighborhoods want to see more. They want to see advancement, because then new companies, emerging companies, valuable companies will come into your neighborhoods as well. They want better space. They're willing to pay for it, and they don't want to always go to downtowns. That's what we're finding out. That's where our local suburban markets are crushing. If you can get an office building that's within there, it is warranted for owner occupant use or development, but those are more sought out than the downtowns. So zoning entitlements, it reduces a lot of the friction with the town. Now, here's the other thing. we dive into mixed use on macro scale and we start delivering what's called pilots within town. So pay in lieu of taxes, or there's tax abatements that are proposed for the financial gain of the community, and also to lighten the burden of the amount of development. Somebody's willing to come in here and spend millions and millions of dollars and years of time to make it happen. It probably should be with the cooperation in the town. We're making that more valuable, we're making the town more valuable. We hope that the town works with us and we cooperate accordingly. That's the best route to go. And
So what towns would you say are like making their zoning and zoning more like advantageous for investors? And
in New Jersey, we've had a Fed law that came in that removed the COA housing and implemented a federal law. So it's changed up a lot of it in New Jersey, requiring certain things and peeking under the hood of the towns and the COA units that are filled and things like that. So that's opened up development for certain areas. Specific towns, I'm not going to get into because it changes constantly. What I will say is that most of northern New Jersey was very restrictive. It's opened up a bit with real plausible plans. Can't be just pie in the sky developers that just want to throw tons of units. That's why our strategy is completely different in that. And it's well received because we're not seeking maximum unit count, we're seeking maximum master plan value within the town and building our economics around that. Good.
So what separates,
like what Trelia does, like the development section that you guys are in versus like other developers, like what makes towns like want to choose you guys over them? Like, what do you guys put more retail? Like, what do you guys do to benefit them rather than another developer?
It's a great question. Thanks for asking that, Adam. Charlie creates tomorrow's neighborhood today. And what we do is we incorporate a low density unit per acre for the town to have a more specialized product that fits their needs, whether it be a baby boomer, Gen X, millennial, et cetera, based on what the community environment, the demographics, et cetera, are. We work backwards. So we deconstruct the back to forward to make sure it's a fit. What we've realized over our time over the last decade is that our DUI, our units per acre, are much less, but they're still very reasonable in terms of the town accepting, the builders wanting to build the product, because the product layouts, the floor plans, they're all warranted to right now. Now, because of ERG and because of our office, we're able to see boots on the ground transparently what buyers and what tenants want. Because of that, we deliver that same solution to them, which is the problem of these old builds. So for that, we speed up the leasing, increases the efficiency, we get higher values for the product. It's well received because we give it with white glove service.
oh,
So zoning and entitlement, guys, advantages on this is if you have something, especially the town wants, and you can add in some flavor, i.e., let's say on one project we're working on, we're looking at a town, a potential acreage in town, maybe even multiple acres of town park associated with the housing around it. What does that do? Gives the community a good place to go. On a nice summer day, you can walk out, have a picnic over there. There's live activity items that are positioned throughout. There's a park for the children. There's scooter lanes for the people scooting. There's bikes and rollerblades, all that stuff. That's what we bring a difference up. Most developers just want to look at unit count and shoving it down the throats. What we look at is the exact opposite, which is why towns want to work with us more hand in hand than resist us and not want us. That's a big difference. Moving ahead, some real case studies. Just going through the mix of this from 6-unit townhouses to 18-unit developments to 110 units to industrial of flex use. You're seeing a lot of real-time case studies where what we're seeing is that certain towns want to see certain products, i.e., you don't want to go to a Chinese restaurant and ask them for pizza. I wouldn't want to go to the River Palm and ask for Mexican tacos. Okay, these are the things that we're describing. So if you put something that's appetizing in an area where the people are seeking that appetizing product, i.e., it's in a townhouse community, there's tons of townhouses, it's loved. Why build some giant building? If they want townhouses and they want to keep it consistent, let's work around townhouses. If it's in an area where it's podium product and we can make the building more efficient in the build and less costly, and it's within walking distance and we have some amenities, an 18-unit product there with an easy build might be a great fit. Now you want to get a little more complex. You want to add in some decks, some parking decks, 1/1 with 5 floors above, really sexy amenity-driven courtyards, rooftops, you name it, bells and whistles. That's something that you can get into with the 110. And that's where you're seeing it in real life. You're going to talk about parking, pet fees, you're going to talk about amenity fees. These things apply. So as you step up, maybe the 6 unit, you don't have it. The 18 unit, maybe you do have a little bit of it. The 110, you definitely have. So that's kind of where these plateaus start going with how you can box the information and know. So rule of thumb, threshold, quick action tip, under 10 units, no chance. It's typically nothing. If you have over 10 units and you're 10 to 25, typically they're starting amenities, baselines, some parking, terraces, residential working area lounge, rooftop lounge. 110, man, you might have it all. You might have the book library, a golf simulator. You might have walkout courtyards, barbecue areas, rooftop sunbathing, trestles on the top. You might have parking, Amazon package area, all these things. So think what size is it and what's appropriate. I'm not going to throw a 110 unit multifamily amenity package in a 6 unit townhouse complex. I mean, guys, that's common sense, right? So put that hat on, common sense hat. If you do that and you follow those rules, you'll know where this income's coming in. You'll have a projection on the 25% express expenses rule, and you'll know where this is at very simply, very simply. Lastly, industrial to flex mixed use. If you're looking at it, we have a product right now we're about to list on the market. It was a former office product. They converted it into a warehouse, untapped a ton of value. We're going to be putting it on the market and selling it. And what does that look like? It's a real-time case study, guys. Somebody sold the building, a lot less money, but still very profitable from their original purchase, sold it. That person then got warehouse designation, put an operation in play, and it's worth even more. And we sell it, and people are all happy across that continuum. Who are you in the mix? Who are you adding value to? Are you studying this material that I put out every week? Are you learning one thing each time I put this out? Because if you are, over the course of this year, you're going to be armed as a commercial agent to make tons of deals and transactions happen in this marketplace. And if you're not, shame on you. Everything is execution here. And if you learn the knowledge, you can execute it. Fail forward, fail fast. That's exactly what I did and exactly what I'm encouraging you guys to do. If you learn, you have cooperation and case studies. Our entire team is here helping and answering questions left and right from everybody around, including myself. So we're going to do that for you too. Bring us your listings. We want to co-broke. We want to make sure. And co-broke could look like a number of things, guys. It could be something where we're just referring it. Could be a 50-50 co-broke. It depends on the transaction. And that's going to be something that we unpack together. So if you're interested, make sure you reach out to myself or Adam from the team. We'll start you guys off. Next up. So we did a live mixed use deal analysis throughout the entire time. What are the boxes that we want to make sure we check? Zoning, mixed use, yield, retail viability, your density, and parking. You hit all those boxes on a mixed use, you are in really good shape to understand, is this a development that's possible? Is it an actual mixed use product that's warranted, i.e. if it's in place or any built, is it sellable? What does the rest of the product look like? How do we value it? Those types of things. And then last but not least, I throw parking in here because in our area, parking is a nightmare. It literally is. So what we do is unpack it. We got snow everywhere right now. You can barely get through. So parking's huge and it quantifies to money. Oftentimes sellers, property owners, underwriters don't know. And I'm teaching you that now. It's a very valuable product. Moving ahead to conclusion before we open it up with FAQs, we are on point 30 minutes in. As you've seen, guys, mixed-use developments are a sexy beast. They are one of my favorites in development land, and they should be one of yours too if you're looking at going into the development space. But if they're also in place in their existing buildings and you want to sell one, just make sure you understand the big differences here. What's the commercial income? What's the residential income? What's my projected expenses or in-place real expenses from a T12? Write that down, a T12 from the seller. And seeing what that is. Hey, you're building value between this cap rate and this cap rate is this. And then you start taking in other courses we have with your price per square foot. If it was a vacant shell, here's the box on the price per square foot. And if it had acreage and it had land, and you said, hey, and here's dirt to dollars for you, we can turn it into potentially this, and it's quantified here, man, you're off and running. You're going to get that listing. You're going to nail it down with value. And if they come back to you acting crazy with value, with understanding that doesn't have reasoning, you know you can push it back and say, hey, you know what? I appreciate that and I appreciate your time. But here's the deal. My value's out of alignment. I'm not going to put my team to work and myself to spend dollars, spend time, spend resources, only to have that conversation with you every 30 days for the next 3, 4, 5, 6 months until it doesn't sell, or keep asking you to reduce the price. That's what we got today for Real Estate Rewired. Impactful, efficient, and effective, coming at you every single week. Opening up the floor for questions and also the chat. We got a powerful bunch of questions today. Everybody's really feeling it. Everyone going through it.
If anyone has a question, just
Yeah, pass the
let me
mic.
know, and then I'll pass the mic to you. Yeah.
Thank you, Bruce. I do have a buyer right now. I'm just curious, like, what area would you say it has the most available, if you know, I don't know, for mixed use, like office with residential? Is that something that's very popular right now?
No,
It's not.
it's not
Okay.
very popular. CoStar Crexie would be your best start.
Yeah.
Asking other brokers on what's coming would be the second. That's typically what I do. If you have anything coming in this area, I've got somebody hot on the trot. I probably would only put the effort into that if you really, really know them. Like you know
Yeah.
that they're committed, they have a financial term sheet, they have the excess cash, you've seen it, it's proof of funds ready. Because when they jump on something, you want to have that access ready for it.
Got it.
Um, Outside of that, if you want to do proactive steps like campaigns, go to the target area. What area are they looking in?
Somewhere that's easy access to New York City,
Okay.
Wall Street. So Union City, Jersey City, Hoboken.
So get specific in terms of how far. Seems like that could be because getting to Union City from the ferry, like start seeing like what that looks like to see if that affects it. Because if he does want that, that would be easier for you to knock it off the list. Worst
Got
thing
it.
that I ever did was go to a property, could have knocked off the list before I even went there.
Right. Yes, I'm doing the research and seeing the
Yeah,
commute and checking out
it'll
the
Jen, it'll
area
help
because,
you
of course, they want
so
a certain
much.
area too.
The
So,
worst thing in the world is running around with these people and then not having a transaction happen, which
Yep.
is why I'm extremely resistant to getting out until they prove or until it's one of our listings for that reason. Um, I toured every area in northern New Jersey for years. I want everyone to avoid that. And that's part of the reason I teach. It's because I want everyone to know, don't go through what I did. Do it better than I did. Be smarter, make more quicker, be more impactful quicker. It took me a little longer. So what I would do is shake that buyer down
Yep.
and say, hey, listen, I'm at the point right now where I've shown you all the product. There's nothing else. We can track it month by month. If you have a town or two and you have specific areas, I'll search those office buildings that have them, and you can get product that has that. You could search that, and I can send mailers out. And I can do active, marketing. It's going to cost me time, dollars, etc. Do you want me to do that? Is that something that you're committed to having me do? He's going to say, or she's going to say, oh my God, the amount of work you're going to put in, you'll know whether or not that buyer is real when they start saying that to you. Say, I'm going to spend money, time, and effort into this for you. Is that what you want me to do?
got it.
Yes, it is. Great. I'm happy to do it. Because then chances are they're dead freaking serious.
Right.
So I would probably pivot that. The other thing would be just put a marketing campaign out there. I mean, ChatGPT these days is the go-to.
Yeah.
Go deep research. What's the best way to find this building in these areas and run through those methods with them. I could tell you probably 5 or 10, but I'll tell you if you put it specific in there, it may tell you a better one.
Yeah, there's certain criteria. Thank you.
It's the prompt that I put in. I'm a world-class real estate broker focused on this product. I need this, this, and this. Give me the best results within 5-10 mile radius of this property address, like that specific.
Okay.
And if you do, you'll see it'll point you in the right direction.
Awesome. Thank you.
My pleasure. Happy to. And I'm encouraging. I want you to win. You're
Thank
out
you.
there with these buyers. You deserve to get a contract.
Yeah, this is a good buyer.
Good.
Yeah, strong.
Good, good, good.
Thank you.
Of course.
You. Which of these like uses do you think out of the bunch is driving the most value?
It's an interesting world right now in our area because in New Jersey, the industrial markets, when I first started, were like $50 a foot. And those are some of them we've been selling at $200, $250, $300 a foot. So imagine you own one building at that point. I mean, the people that have made it extreme in real estate have had properties similar to that. So I think the biggest value is in land banking, owning something and then just having it appreciate without even doing anything. But in classes here, the most valuable in this context would be retail triple net because they're the highest price per square foot, i.e., Bruce, tell me more what details you mean. Well, if you look at a McDonald's might only be 2,000 square feet, 2,500 square feet, maybe 3,000. But if they sell in a market, they sell in an income and expense ratio. So instead of a price per square foot of, let's call it 400, 500, it'll sell at 1,000, 1,200. So those are where you untap the most value. And that's because the income and expense ratio will give you the most value with that versus the proportionate of a price per square foot. If you could build a giant development and it's worth tons more than all of that, well, that would be that thirds of dollars. It's a great question. So in context, think triple net retail like that would yield highest price per square foot. Then you're going to start going into medical, premium office, and then it's just going to trickle from there, regular office, industrial, all the way down to just land from that point.
Thank you.
My pleasure. It's a great question, Adam. Most people don't even understand that it works just on a vertical continuum. And you can see where they are. So if you see a retail asset and it's where it's priced at peanuts, maybe it's an opportunity. But if you see, let's say, an office product and it's at 1,000 a foot and it's double what the market is, maybe that's an opportunity, but maybe that's a liability. What if they go out and then the market rate kicks in? Something's going on.
Yeah.
So those are where you'd want to dive into what the most value would be. But retail triple net leasing is the answer to your question.
Got it. Thank you.
Looks like we're short, compact, efficient today. Guys, I'm hoping that you got value from this. Every week I'm bringing it to you live and in charge for Real Estate Rewired to educate and facilitate the NJ CRE domination with every one of you guys watching and everyone that's in person training. I value you guys. I love that you support this, our cause and our mission. I support every one of you guys as well. And out there, I support every one of you guys. I love you guys. Keep giving me feedback, likes, subscribe, and if you find value, share the channel. We're doing this every week. Adam, thanks for making us all set up. Let's go. And thank Adam and thank everybody else on the back end, because without them, I wouldn't be able to do any of this. So shout out to Adam, Janine, Nay, and everyone else that makes this happen. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Say subscribe.
Real Estate Rewired. Go ahead and like, subscribe today. If you find value, share it amongst everybody. Thanks, guys.